My advice about young people who want to get into the arts, in any form of the arts, is that first of all, I never really employ performers, at least, who are younger than 30. It happens occasionally, but not very often. And that's because I think people need time to develop themselves, to experience life a little bit, and to have the confidence to do the work that we want to do. So with that in mind, and also from my experience, it took me a little while. I did some travelling. I did some building. I did some building with someone, all sorts of different jobs, and just tried to find myself a little bit. I even did some education courses, which really don't link in with the journey that I've had in theatre, but it just gave me a little bit of time to establish myself a little bit and to understand myself and the things that excite me, the things that turn me on, make me angry, make me passionate. So give yourself the time to find that. Give yourself a range of experiences, and your journey then into the arts will be all the more fulfilling and all the more wholesome. Now, I don't think there's necessarily a don't do, because some people are ready early to do to kind of throw themselves into to drama, to courses, to technique, dance technique, all sorts of things like that early in life. I wasn't ready for that, and it wouldn't have been right for me to do that. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think a range probably is a good thing to think about when you're starting out. A range of things is probably a wise way to look at it.
The best advice would be if you're getting involved in the arts, you're getting involved in a world that changes a lot. So I would say be completely open for anything that can happen, and don't specify it too soon.
You have to have a passion, and you have to have an innate sense of what it is that's important to you.
You have to be true to yourself first, before anything, no matter how high you can kick your leg, or how many pirouettes you can do, or how loud you can speak, or how angry you can get, or anything like that. If you're not doing it from yourself, then it's difficult. It'll be more difficult for you.
Try and absorb as much as you can from anybody who's willing to share that. To share their passion and their understanding of the way that theatre works. Just get as much experience as you can, and don't stop knocking on doors and saying, look, can I come and be in your theatre? Can I come and sit in on a rehearsal? Can I come and hang out? Can I shadow this person? And then just learn as much as you can, and that will lead to opportunities.
Just read loads of books, pay attention in school, because it's awesome actually. Like, you'll regret it if you don't. Yeah, and see loads of theatre, for sure. Definitely loads of different types of theatre as well. And when you're going to see loads of theatre, even weird stuff from other cultures, like really crazy stuff like Buto maybe, go in there with an open mind and think, why is this actually a thing? Why is this a thing? And figure it out, and what can you take from it, even if it's a small smidge of, goodness.
Went to a secondary school in Peterborough that had a performing arts department, and actually we did dance as a compulsory thing for the first 2 years, which, when I think about it, is absolutely amazing. Before that I did martial arts, which was my kind of way into movement, really. That's why I found it completely seamless transition from doing punch, kick, scream, move around, into walking into a room full of people who are moving for no reason. Like, brilliant, I'll do that. And then I joined a male dance company once a week. They're just a group of guys who were a man who was trying to get boys into dance, basically. And I met up with them. We did a mini touring. It was just a slight step away from doing dance because you enjoy it, to then seeing what making something was together and then putting it out there. And then in this company, someone said to me, I've just auditioned for the place the London School of Contemporary Dance and you should do it. And I wasn't sure. I was at this point really into theatre, music and dance, and I hated the idea of specialising. Especially specialising into not only dance but contemporary dance. I thought it was a bit of a weird move. But then I auditioned and I went, and it was brilliant. It was everything. Contemporary dance was so completely open. There was theatre, contact improvisation, all sorts of stuff. And I did my 3 years there, and that was kind of the bulk of my education in terms of working hard. That's all I learned at the place. It's one of those courses that you could just, by the seat of your pants, pass and have a really crazy social life and do things in London and just pass, or you could milk it for what it's worth. There was that much flexibility, and I went for the option of just every day enjoy dancing and make as much as I could, work with people as often as I could, and loved it. And that was it really. That kind of launched me off into just being up for whatever comes next. I'd already decided that dance is a pretty cool way to go. And I met a guy called Hoffe Schechter, who kind of brought me into the company, into his company as sort of an apprentice. And I met him just at the point where he became really successful. So it went from graduating from school to doing a lot of touring, just touring around the world. And again, another kind of seamless transition into just working hard as you can. And then after about 4 or 5 years of that, I decided if I don't leave that company now, I will happily be in that company for the next 10 years, just doing the same thing, because I loved it. But then the whole kind of theatre itch was still there, and I felt a bit like I wanted to... the happiest I ever was when I was doing multiple disciplines, I think. So I decided to go and step out of that and go into whatever else it brings. And did a couple of things. I worked with a guy called Ben Duke, made a duet, which is a lot more theatrical, and then during the performance of that I bumped into Amit and said, thinking about making a show called Missing, do you want to come along for the audition? And that was 4.5 years ago. That's it, martial arts to now.
I was going to a normal public high school in California, and I started getting more interested in, artsy type of things, and I wanted to be a performer of some sort, so I enrolled in a performing arts school for my final year of high school, where I got to perform in like 40 shows over the course of 1 year, and then also had to do the normal stuff as well of high school, and graduated with that. And then I went to UC Davis, and I was studying acting. And I'd never seen a dance piece really, other than maybe ballet and things where, very formed dance pieces. And I think it was my freshman year, a woman called Lee Anderson from London came to do a residency at my university, and she did a piece on the students, and I knew some of my friends were in that piece, and so I went along to see it, and it blew my mind. It was amazing. I'd never seen something that allowed me to think about life in so many different ways, and it wasn't necessarily dictated what you're supposed to think about, but suddenly you watch a piece on stage, and my life was there on stage, and I thought that was amazing. So I started to take some movement classes, and I became a forest firefighter for a couple of years, and going to school at the same time. I mixed those, and then she came back a couple of years later, Lee Anderson, to do another residency, and I auditioned to be in her piece. And about halfway through the process, it was about 3 months, and halfway through she said, why don't you come to London? Why don't you move to London and join my company? So I did.